Welcome to Face to Face with me, Lauren Booth. As the paint of a new era dries over anti-Mubarak graffiti in Tahrir Square, what had been called a spontaneous revolution in Egypt may prove to be a long-planned youth uprising by youth movements in Cairo and Tunis. Meanwhile, it's not that youth may be uprising that is shaking Washington and Tel Aviv, but the fear of Islamism, rather than discontent, may be uniting the Arab world in revolt. To discuss these issues with me today is a highly esteemed author and academic whose speciality is Islamic studies. He's no stranger either to the brutalities of the former Mubarak regime, having been unable to return to his native Egypt for some 15 years. Ramadan, welcome to Face to Face.
Thank you.
A strange time, an uprising that began with flames in Tunisia, spread across the North Africa to Egypt, has now seen a dictator unseated, and the fear of democracy in the West. No joy. I mean, if you watch CNN and Fox News, the fear of Islamism overtaking the joy of democracy at work. Is there something to fear?
I think first what is important is to just look at what happened, because it was unexpected just to have these young people in Tunisia just after we knew the repression. You know, I also have been banned from there for more than 12 years, and I was criticizing the regime with so many people who were facing torture and exile, and a regime was, you know, a corrupt regime, and it was known. And then suddenly something happened in this country, and as you said, I don't think that this is, it was not planned in Tunisia the way it was in fact in Egypt. The situations are quite different, but something happened there. And then the young people and the people coming from all the political spectrum, from the left to the Islamists, were saying, no, we don't want, you know, dictatorship, and we want to be free. We want to have an autonomous country. Independence is something which was important. And I think that what we got from the West as a first reaction is first a state of denial, and the most interesting statement came from the states, saying, oh, the people are right. And we know today that the states, the United States of America and Barack Obama, they were in touch with the foreign minister, with the army, and they plan to remove very quickly Ben Ali from Tunisia in order to avoid contagion in the region. So this is something which is quite interesting. You have one strategy there, and people, and in France, saying, you know, we are scared because the opponents could be, you know, Islamists, and it could be, and this is also what Ben Ali said straightforward. He said, oh, these are all Islamists. Why? Because in the West, this was the rhetoric that we got for years. Why the West is supporting dictators? Because they are protecting the West and the Muslim majority countries and the Arab and the Middle East from Islamists. And the Islamists are all radicals, what we have with Al-Qaeda and all this. So it is a rhetoric spreading around fear and justifying to deal with dictators everywhere in the region. And then in Egypt, when I was asked, do you think that something could happen in Egypt? I said, no, I don't think in Egypt. It's too important, strategically speaking, for the Americans. Something could happen there. And then it happened because the people came, and then now we know as well that youth were preparing for this for the last 3 years. They were involved in a strategy that were to remove or to fight or to struggle against the dictatorship and Mubarak.
So if America and Europe are wrong to have misgivings about this particular state of the uprising, is there some kind of schism that could happen between these youth movements and, say, the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, who might have different agendas?
I think they have, and I think once again, now, inductively, we have to look at the whole situation, not thinking that the American administration is not at all involved. We know that the army that is now taking over, and all the ministers that were appointed by Mubarak are still in charge, and they are, going through the transitory period now. And I think we have to be very cautious. We have to be happy, and it's good that this is happening, because it means that in the Arab world, the people, this mass protest are showing the people non-violent resistance to dictator. It works, and this is something which is important. Now we don't have to be naive. We should understand that behind the scene, these statements that we had from the American administration is something which is as if they don't know what is happening. And on the other side, to get a sense of what is happening on the streets is that we had young people coming with, spreading around awareness. We are able to do it. But all the other parties, political parties from the left, the communists, the Nasserists, and the Muslim Brotherhood, they came afterward and they tried to find their place in the whole movement. Look at what happened even with El-Baradei. Baradei, as we say in English, came and he was outside the country for 20 years, and the Muslim Brotherhood, not knowing where to put themselves in the whole strategy, said, oh, he is our man.
You recently wrote an article in which you said that the Muslim Brotherhood is being careful not to frighten the West with any of its rhetoric or actions. Does that mean, in your opinion, that the West does have something to fear and the Muslim Brotherhood is just being canny about its agenda at the moment?
No, it was I said this in the short period of time. We saw them changing strategy and putting themselves, and they didn't want to be at the forefront, because what is clear is that they are not leading the movement. They were not leading the movement, and they are not leading the movement. And they felt that what was coming from the West is, oh, these are the people who are behind. And why they were scared of this? Because remember, the first 2 days of the revolution and the uprising, the government arrested 500 Muslim brothers, just to tell the West, these are the people who are behind. So they were very scared just to be used by the government to justify any kind of repression. And then also from the Western administrations in Europe or in the States, people saying, look, once again, the Muslim Brotherhood are leading. So they were trying to find, as I said, a place in the whole movement. And if we look at the Muslim Brotherhood today, and this is why when I was asked by American news agency or in the West, say, okay, look, don't portray the Muslim Brotherhood in something which is a monolithic movement and in a radical movement. They have nothing to do with Al-Qaeda. They have nothing to do with this threat. Even Ayman al-Zawahiri, who is the spokesperson, even for now presented in the media as the spokesperson to the violent extremist group, is just insulting them, because for him the fact that they are legalist, non-violent, and they were in Egypt for 60 years dealing with the repression and within...
They weren't created as a non-violent movement, though, to be fair. They did fight the Stern Gang and the Irgun famously in Palestine, and they have said in the past that if needs be they would rise up again. So yes, they're a political movement now.